So in the last video, I did not use my canvas. Now, for a sigil that you wanted to use to manifest, you wouldn't necessarily always want to do this on your face. But it is a place where you can wipe it off, and even the kind of ritual of doing that can be reinforcement for you. What is needed here in manifestation is a reinforcement of what it is that you aim to manifest. And I have been leaving out, and I really want to point this one out, that when you manifest, it is a lot more advantageous. Although, again, like I say, I don't take everything for face value. I do things how they feel according to me. But it is common in many people's thoughts and ideas and opinions that you shouldn't want or need what you're asking for. You should believe in the theory that it's all happening right now, past, present, and future, that we already have it. And in fact, if you believe that you already have it, then there's nothing to worry about, and you're vibrating with that same energy of having it. Therefore, it comes. Now, I think that is very wise, but not completely necessary. Let's say, and when you get good at, it does not have to be the letters from the alphabet. In fact, I wanted to point out that there's a philosophy class, the second one I ever took, and it blew right over my head while I was there. But I still have the book, and I do remember things, and it has stuck with me. Ludwig Wittgenstein, who was a German philosopher back in, 40s, 50s, something like that. Maybe earlier than that. But he wrote lots of books, but one of them was philosophical investigations, and he had this term that he deemed language games. And what he meant by that was that language defines our reality. Language defines our reality. What I'm saying to you right now, if you speak English and you understand me, you understand what I mean, and therefore you're comprehending it. You might even be painting a picture if I said, I have a little half pug, half French bulldog, she's kind of tan, I forget what that coloring is called, dog. Now you've imagined it in your head. You've almost in some ways created that dog, like in your head for a minute. Now that's instant manifestation. That is language creating a reality in your head for you. But what he really meant was this whole thing of manifesting. You start with your thoughts, they become your language. But what his actual his thoughts here were that language was taken away from our real experience. And in many ways I agree with him, but let's go into that another time. I am going to imagine that I live on a farm, and I don't have to worry about paying rent, and I know how to garden, so I create some garden beds where I plant vegetables so we can eat, because I don't rely on the grocery store. And we do this every year, and we save the seeds because they are not from Monsanto, and we have complete organic tall prairie. We grow in the tall grass prairies where we don't really even have to weed because we learned how to do it, and we do it as biodynamic as possible while we live in our really rad homemade tent that I made out of really cool canvas. And the only transportation we have is a couple of motorcycles, which run off of the fuel we make from our corn. Or whatever. Hemp. something. I don't know about how to make motorcycles, really. Here's my tent, you know. And I can imagine that there's a beautiful river. I do have other colored paints, but I'm lazy. And a pond where we keep stocked fish, so we have them on hand. I can also imagine that we are practicing alchemy, and so here's where I would put the symbols for mercury, sulfur, and salt, which I don't think I have the room, and I can't remember precisely what they look like. But mercury, sulfur, and salt were the alchemical symbols for if you break everything down, you know, under one layer is another layer. And alchemists or alchemy believes that under everything, the structure of everything, sulfur, mercury, and salt. So they have those symbols. So I put that somewhere, but instead of doing that, I'm going to put the symbol more etherically of infinity, because I believe that there is a level of infinity that's going on, and that symbolizes everything in a way. Nice clouds, no chemtrails. And at the base of all of it, love and trust. If you love somebody for real, that means you've learned trust. So they're about the same thing. And then I would say that I would go and meditate. One of these days I'm going to come up with a better word than meditate, because it's got kind of a cliche feeling to it when it comes to language games. But I typically like to do it in the daytime. And I like to go outside, and I don't close my eyes. I like to breathe and be very still, and nature is all around me, and that really quiets my mind. So maybe I go out there, and before I went in, I meditate, and then I come out of it and consciously bring to my mind this ideal circumstance where I could live very, independently and off of the own food that I grew, because I learned how to do that out of a pond that I dug and stocked the fish, because I taught myself how to do that. And we lived by the right kind of river, on the right kind of soil, in the right kind of place, because I researched that, and my heart was full of love, and I was trusting of not only the earth but Great Spirit to provide. And so I refrained from worry, and therefore reinforced all of my beliefs in my life. And I had these motorcycles, and every now and then we'd take them and we would press the corn and make that gasoline, and everything worked. And I can imagine it, and it's beautiful, and I don't know where and I don't know how, but so that there's another process of it's fun, to me. I feel like another word I'd like to change, spirituality. I feel that connecting with the energies, connecting with the peace, happy place, connecting with the awesome fucking juju, juicy, squidgy, the awesome sauce, the, cray cray, shenanay, shimmy shimmy, cocoa pop, and cocoa puff. That's what it's about. Because I feel that in the end, you can look for anything, any situation to satisfy outside of you, but in the end, you're going to realize that you weren't satisfied. And if you search for that happiness within, it is difficult. It presents you having to reflect upon every single thing in your life that didn't work out, to look back at it. And that's what's hard for people. They don't want to look at something that hurts or something that frustrates. They just want to walk away from it, but that doesn't help acquire growth as much as looking back and examining what happened, what you could have done better. I'm going to end this on a few principles that I could just run off my head. Alchemy main idea is as above, so below. Now, what you really, what does that sound like? Anybody, does that ring a bell? To me, that says quantum physics, macro to the micro. That's what it is. It's everything is, you see this cellular and nucleus stuff going on. It happens out there and it happens way deep in here where we can't see. And we're all vibrating. We're all kind of doing the same thing. And when I say all, I mean everything. And so as within, as without, but also in alchemy, that would mean nothing is wrong. Nothing is right. So if you're having an argument and you think you're right, you're not. And you're also not wrong. You're just stumped. You're Trump. There's no Trump. You're just wasting your energy. And I'm wasting my energy trying to convince you of that. But as within, so without. As above, so below. The principle always roots back, and it seems like in many cultures, to balance, to the middle way, to a thing like that. It's very difficult to do that. It's very fun to get, and it's very human to be expressive and to go into the other realms, but be able to herd back into that, to the 11 that has become glued together as a one. Thank you for watching this wild and wacky face painting video. Much love.